First off, here was a fashion show at the convention. Let's see, this was with the 85mm f1.4 lens as well as a Pentax K5. I believe I was using aperture priority with a negative exposure compensation. The reason I do that is because with events like this where they have really strong stage lights, you're going to get overexposure with an automatic exposure. So you want to add a negative compensation to make sure that your subjects are properly exposed in the background. Well, you'll just have to let it be dark in most situations. So this first one here I liked. This was the designer of the show. His name is SIXH6. I'll link his information so you can check him out. Very interesting designs, kind of a gothic or dark look to them. So I like this photo, the framing. Of course I was using the 85mm lens, so it's fixed focal length, not exactly the best type of lens to use in events like this, because the people move around a lot and you're generally stuck in one position, so it worked alright though. This other photo here I liked as well. I managed to catch the model as he was turning around, and I got that nice effect with his clothes. The shutter speed was fast enough that it's not blurred, which is good in this situation, or in this case. That again was with the K5. I used that throughout the whole fashion show. Let's see, the shutter speed, 1/500th of a second, f2.2. This one didn't turn out nearly as well. Just a quick snapshot type photo. See, there's his book that he was reading from. In this case, it was half concert, half fashion show. So he sings and they have music and everything while they're doing the show. Pretty interesting. This one here, decent photo, however, where I was standing, you can see the I don't know, is that a speaker? Some type of speaker that they hear their own voices to check how they sound, but that's in the photo and I couldn't avoid it. Another one that wasn't too exciting, but that's about it for that group. I had quite a few to go through. Here's a fun photo I liked. I know this cosplayer being held here, and they just decided to set that up, and it worked out. Pretty funny. Here's one in the dealer's room. The framing isn't great, but I really like the colors and the reflection from his helmet. Nice, shiny, colorful look to it. That's of course one of the Power Rangers, or the Sentai as they call them in Japan. Here's one outside. This is a really good area to take photos. I was using flash. Let's see, K5 with the 31mm f1.8 lens. You can see with the flash as field light, you've got the subject nicely lit, as well as the background. That was probably a little bit of post-processing, but in that case, with the light just how it was and the camera settings, it worked nicely. Here's one that didn't turn out too well. This was inside the hotel. I just don't like the framing of it. He's reasonably lit, but the background's kind of dark. That was with the K5, 31mm f1.8, and the Sigma flash. I should have cranked the ISO up more than 400, I think. Here's one decent photo, not too exciting. Again, with the background, it was a little dark for my tastes. Here's another one that was kind of average. The thing is, with the flash, it can shine through helmet, you know, what is that, glass or whatever it is, the covering for helmets, sometimes if they're not a certain type. So you can see their faces, and that's not necessarily what the person wants. So very cool costume, but with that reflection, yeah, I don't know. Let's go on to the next one. This was with a little private photo shoot that I had. Her cosplay was Revi, I believe, from Black Lagoon. So if you want to check that out, I hear it's a pretty good series. This one, she was jumping off a bench, kind of something I set up with that. Pretty fun photo. It's nicely composed, I think, and pretty sharp. Worked out. This one here was with the 14mm lens, I believe. First off, that was with the 85, so I was pretty far back. This one was with the 14mm f2.8. Really like how just the angles are. The camera, I mean the fake gun is pointed up a little bit to the side. It just gives a lot of depth to the photo. Here's one, you know, it's not necessarily what I did, but the shutter speed was slow enough that it had some nice blur on her arms and legs, yet her face is pretty sharp. I just like how the photo turned out. Interesting one. Here's one that's kind of in between good and bad. I intentionally tried to get lens flare, so it's actual natural lens flare, it's not fake post-processed. So you can see the elements of the lens, the reflections that happen inside the lens itself. It's pretty interesting. Here's one not too exciting. I clipped her foot down here, but I wasn't tall enough to get that perspective and get the whole person in the photo. That one's kind of interesting. Okay, let's go to next group. Here's one to One Piece cosplayers. I was using the 85mm lens again, I think. Yeah, I just like the nice thin depth of field of this photo. They have good facial expressions. It's not a fake look to it, it's a really natural look to it. This one was with the little Nintendo meetup at the convention. Just took this snapshot. I was the perfect distance from her to get that full body photo. So I like that one. Again with the 85, some nice thin depth of field photography. f1.8, so I could have gone even a little bit further, but I like that photo. I'm going to show you two photos here. You know, just some changes in composition make a big difference. This one's fun. The angle's decent. Everyone's looks good in the photo. But then we go down to this one. That one might have turned out a little more interesting, but I just didn't have the right angle and the right. I was too short again for what I was trying to do, and get these people's heads in the photo. And I took a picture anyways because I knew they would be in there, but you know, didn't turn out. Let's see. There was a fire. Someone pulled the fire alarm, and I took some photos, of course, as it was all happening. This is the one of them that didn't turn out too well. I was inside a pathway up above the street, and you can see some reflection on the sides from the window itself. And of course the photo is dark. It's ISO 6400, pretty grainy, but it still captures the situation. Here's one where the focus was off, I always try to focus on the person's face, but the camera and the lens and things don't necessarily do what I want, and that's what happens there. So their faces aren't properly in focus. More with this was another meetup of Kenshin, which is samurai based anime, and where we met was not a good location for that type of show, but I tried to work with what I had, so that not too exciting results, but you know. Here is one in that same area. I was using the 31mm lens and I just didn't have enough room. I couldn't stand far enough back to get a full shot of this guy with his large prop sword, but you know. Here's another one with the 85, didn't turn out. Usually in these, they're called gatherings, meetups of certain shows, or this is a Valve game meetup. I just take some snapshots of the people standing in the whole group, because you can't get close to them, you can't really pose them, but I still get some photos. And in this case I use the 85mm lens, and that it turns out most of the time, but in this case it didn't work out. Next group is one that I like. Very good colors to it. Background's not blown out. Even the sky is blue. I was with the 31 again. So that's a mixture of flash plus the ambient light. Here's another one that I liked. In this case, this guy here, he didn't have his helmet on, but later I managed to get another one. I thought I marked it, but I didn't. Okay. It's in here somewhere. So this one didn't turn out nearly as well as the previous one. There were other people taking his photo, and I can't budge and get in the way, so I just took a quick snapshot. So I like that one significantly more than the other one. Here's a nice photo. You can see the group here. Good, they're fully in the shot, and I was kneeling down a little bit. Worked out nicely. Here's a group, didn't turn out too well, but in that situation there are multiple people and multiple photographers. Just want to get a quick photo. You know, it's kind of documentary style. Not exactly the best, but in that situation sometimes they work out. This one, the camera was not focusing properly. You can see it's front focused, and the guys here are not properly focused. In that situation, I don't know if it's more the camera's fault or my fault, but I could have tried manual focusing. I don't know. It's another private photo session. This one I really like, especially how they use the green bush or whatever it is, the sharpness of it, and the thin depth of field with the model in the background, kind of semi-hidden, the photo looking up. I really like that photo. Here's another one. In this case I used the 50 to 200mm Pentax DA lens, pretty cheap basic lens, and across this large body of water I took that photo because her character does things with water, I guess, so it worked out nicely with that. This one didn't turn out too great. There's too much empty space up here, I think, and the focus looks slightly off. Looks a little bit front focused. Last group, this was on Sunday. Here again with the 31mm. I use that a lot, it looks like. I like the photo. I would have liked to have his foot in there, but situations, how they are, I can't always get where I need to be. But in general, I like how this photo looks. Pretty interesting. Here's a documentary style. I do like this photo. I've got the guy who I just took a photo of ready to take a picture of this Mario crossplay, which means a female playing Mario. And if you just got a random person in the background using your phone. But I like that one. Here's another one. Again, probably a little bit too much empty space on the top. And I shouldn't have clipped her foot, but otherwise I like the sharpness and the reflectivity of her skin. It's really nice. Otherwise, decent photo. This one didn't turn out nearly as well as that one. So yeah, I changed. I think I took this one before that one, so I changed my perspective a little bit and got something better. Here's another one. I like the photo a lot. They have good stances and everything, but some of them are looking at me, some of them are looking at another person that showed up to take a picture as I was taking a picture, and it just kind of a chaotic, I think it doesn't give the photo as much as it could have had. But otherwise, I like her pose. They're doing pretty good poses, but then, as I said, some of them are looking away. Some of them are looking at me. But anyways, that was Anime Central 2012. Hope you enjoyed checking those photos out. Thanks.